So now I'm going to open up a browser so I can actually see what people say because.
Yeah, just minimize your OBS page and then just open up your a browser and log in as JS underscore Twitch, and you should be able to see the chat window there.
It's weird, like logging into my own area. All right, and now I got to figure out how to do the chat thingy. Settings. So many things to sort through. Why this should be so much easier, I would think. All I want to do is see the chat, and I can't see the chat at all in the browser. Unless I maximize the browser, which I don't care about. I just want to watch the chat. Here we go. There's bound to be a way to do this. Pop out the chat, maybe. Do, 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 do. All right, there we go. Pop out the chat. That's what I wanted. Because I don't need to watch myself. All I need to do is see the chat. If there is any. And look, I can earn points as a member of the channel while streaming
Yes.
on the channel.
Yeah, mine does that too.
That's pretty wild. All right. All right. Turn this down a little bit. So let me go get us a viewer or two so somebody can tell us what they see or hear.
There are people in the room now that are listening to you now.
I don't see any people in the room. Nobody.
It takes us sometimes a little bit of time to update, but there are 5 people in the room right now watching you.
Oh, I don't believe you.
So don't do anything obscene.
Yeah, that's my style. All right. Hey, Sparks. Well, John's on the phone, so we don't really actually want John on here. I'm gonna hang up now, John. I think we got it.
All right.
All right, take care.
All right, bye.
Hey, Sparks. Thanks very much for dropping by. John was helping me, and Chris Lewis as well, helping me sort this stuff out the first time. It's surprisingly complicated to get the whole stream thing going. Amazingly. All right. So no, we can't ignore Cab Boss. All right. So here we are, trying to figure out how to do this streaming thing. First of all, just like to say, you've only got the one camera, so there won't be any, like face cam. You don't really want to see me anyway. Nobody came here for that. And this is it's really not so much I'm not really here to show anybody how to paint. I don't know that I'm really qualified for that. I'm just here to kind of hang out with people that like Cav and talk Cav and have fun and show you the few things I do know and just I'm just here to goof off and hang out. It's the equivalent of going to the local shop, the local game shop, and playing with people hanging out, talking and painting and stuff like that. Gonna change this just a little bit. No, that's the wrong way. Okay. So that's what I'm here to do. All right. So John was gracious enough a weekend or so ago to print out some Kodiaks for me to come up and hang out with him and paint. And so it's an Almirithal 12DT Beast. And so I had recently painted up these fellows. I'm not sure I ever really got around to naming. As a unit to play at Virtual CavCon. And so I thought, well, I don't want to start a new force, so I thought I would try and mimic them. And so here's where I am so far. I feel like I've got the colors about right. close enough at least. And now I really just need to come in and do some of the edge highlighting and maybe after that just a tiny little bit of washing, because invariably this edge highlighting that I use ends up being a little too bright. And some decals, of course, before Ross shows up in here and shames me for not decaling my models. The other thing I've been thinking about, John and I were listening to some old, some World War II stuff, some stuff about Russian forces and tactics and organization charts and things like that. And I got to thinking, one of the things that Cav is missing is Cav doesn't have any anti-tank guns, or at least not specifically anti-tank guns. The way forces used to have, like some sort of a mobile way of mounting a gun who's like the old 88 that the Germans used. And so I thought, how could I go about kit bashing an anti-tank gun? And so I got to thinking about this Armadillo here. It's a great looking model. Turret's not my favorite, but that's fixable. And so I thought, these bits right here kind of look like tracks that you might be able to use to kit bash with. So here I've got a disassembled one. And I got to looking at this bit and I was like, if you took a couple of these bits and found a way to put them together, you might be able to make like the beginnings of an anti-tank gun. So John has buckets and buckets of spare parts up there, and so I was able to grab a couple of pieces, and I grabbed this off the top of a Grizzly. I'm not quite sure what the Grizzly stats are for this thing, but it doesn't really matter. I think what I'm going to be able to do is where did my other bit go? Do something like this, where I take this. And I put 4 of them together and I mount this on top of it to make a kind of anti-tank gun. Here, let me stick that together real quick. See if this stuff's not sticky anymore. Give it some more putty. Alright, yeah, let's just blob some of this together here. We can't get a sense of what that's going to look like. Might help if I set that down. Put this other track on here. More putty here. Again, just doing this so I can have something to show it off on. Flatten this out. So voila! Now we have something that's, like could be an anti-tank gun of some kind, some sort of motorized, equivalent of the 88 that the Germans used. Take a little adjustment. Probably have to, I was thinking when I was tinkering with this, I was thinking about maybe taking a piece of sprue and putting it down the center of those tracks to help align them properly so that they don't sort of squish in, or squish out. Hey, Hobby Habit. It's good, great to see you over from Discord. Yeah. So yeah, I go back a little bit. Yeah, I'm trying to make some sort of an anti-tank gun. It's not a thing that exists in Cav, although it might end up existing in Cav. I made my pitch to John when I was up there the other day, and so the idea is, to take an armadillo and take those really great looking track pieces that are on the side, and sort of kit bash it along with whatever weapon floats your boat into some sort of an anti-tank gun. So what I would do probably, this is a 40mm hex space. What I would do is assemble this and maybe leave enough room for a couple of infantry guys to act as its crew, its operators, and then I don't know, write it up with some stats. Basically base it on the mortar. I think mortars can be 4/4 or 5/5 in the game. So just write it up as something like that until John makes rules for it. And then you could have a couple of stands of these with some infantry. I think that would be an interesting addition to the game. Um, while I was up there, I was looking at some other stuff. So here's this dragonfly, right? Let me clip this off real quick. I just was having all kinds of kit bashing ideas. And I was thinking, what could we do with this dragonfly? To me, I don't know if you can see that. I need to work on my camera settings. I'm sorry if it's a little too bright. Maybe I need to move these lights up a little bit so they're not quite as bright. That might help a little bit. Yeah, it seems to be a little more visible there. So to me, this kind of looks like a helicopter. I mean, you know, we get this this canopy right here. Hopefully you can see that. And then, you know, it's got those, you know, the right kind of tail. So where the dragonfly would normally mount, you know, like these pods right here. What I thought about doing was, you know, filling this in, maybe making some wheels or skids or something, making a rotor to go up here, maybe a tailpiece, maybe not, I don't know. It just seems like the right shape to be like a helicopter. Not even I'm not even talking about something maybe with stats, right? It could be like a civilian bit. Cool, Hobby Habit. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was just sorting through John's bits bin and I saw this curve right here and I was like, that could be a helicopter because all right. I mean, I played in a lot of, let me back up a second. A lot of my tournament, or excuse me, my CAV experiences in tournaments playing with Ross and Todd and people like that. And so that's where a lot of my actual experience comes from. But my desire in CAV is to just play casual. I just want to have a good time. I want to make up a scenario. I want to have a good time. I'm going to play the, you know, the outnumbered side. I want to get my butt handed to me, but have a great time doing it. And so as part of that, I want to have a board that looks like a sci-fi board. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Sparks. John's making a whole bunch of sort of engineering vehicles, things that kind of just serve as like, you know, sort of that middle ground. And I think there might be some opportunity there. So while I was up there, anything that looked kind of like a truck, right? I just grabbed up out of the bits bin, the junk, and I thought to myself, okay, how can I take this cruise missile carrier and turn it into like a, you know, like an 18-wheeler, like a cargo truck, right? So I could, this one right here, to me, it's got it's also a missile carrier, but its driver's compartment's not very pronounced. So I thought, you know, you could put these two together and make like a, you know, like a double big rig of some kind. If you get some sort of high-tech storage container here, paint them up with some, you know, crazy warnings like, you know, caution, live rock inside or something like that. That's what I'm looking to do. Anyway, so I got a bunch of ideas for that kind of stuff. Like I said, just picked up all the bits. Originally for this anti-tank gun, I had it in mind to use something like this. But obviously that's, I mean, as is, that's probably just way, way too big. So instead, I took this one and I took a different one and I cut it down. See, I basically just cut those tubes out of there to make a snub nose version of it. Let me pull this out of here. See if we can mock up this thing right there. Just throw some putty on there so it'll stick. So you could also, you know, you could do something like this, right? If this floats your boat a little bit more. I mean, obviously you need to, you know, we need to do some work to, you know, hide the fact that that's putty, but I mean, not a lot of work, to be honest with you. Just flatten it out because that's mostly going to be black or dark, whatever the paint scheme is. It's going to be really dark underneath there. So, I mean, there's just a ton of opportunity conversions, I think, for, you know, this idea of these anti-tank guns. If you wanted to go the other route, there's always the possibility of just modifying the armadillo, right? I mean, it's not ridiculously too big, is it? Stick these, where'd the other one go? It's the wrong one. Of course, I have misplaced. 1, 2, 3. One of these guys has got to be it. There it goes. So, I mean, that doesn't look too bad, does it? kind of it's a little oversized, but you know, maybe they're compensating for something. I don't know. So that was that's my kit bashing idea. So I think what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to work. I'm going to do a little bit of edge highlighting on this guy. He's pretty close to being done. I need to find some more of these washers, which I've got around here somewhere, but with all the junk I had to go through to get the stream up and running with John and Chris's help, I didn't have time to hunt them down and make so I can make him a washer to stand on. But in the future, on my future units, I plan to go to these hex bases. So I've never really been a fan of the little small hex bases that the traditional calves come on. They're just too, in my opinion, too small. I know lots of other people like them. That's not a problem. So the next unit I do, I'm definitely going to go. I'm going to go with this sort of a hex base. The hex gives it a nice sort of high-tech feel, I think, as opposed to the round bases. The other advantage, though, on the round bases is they are metal washers. So they give the resin or plastic model some heft, and so the little tiny Cobra here doesn't fall over quite as easy. All right. Man, it's really good to see you here, Hobby Habit. I'm so glad you dropped by. I've been following your progress over on Discord, and I'm excited that you're excited. It's a good thing. All right. So now, the moment of truth. Let's see if we can actually do some painting here. Get a paper towel. Just happen to have some blue paper towels I stole out of the garage earlier. Is that going to be... Oh, that's a lot of blue. It's pretty hard on the camera. Yeah, I think I'll keep that off screen. That's harsh on the camera. Let's see if I can find something light. Maybe? What about that? Is that too bright? No, that seems to be able to handle that. Yeah, you're right. I mean, the Hobby Habit, you can completely play Cav, the way that other game is played on hexes, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, honestly, I kind of like the precision that the hexes give. I mean, there is something to be said for playing on hexes. But I just like the terrain you can get. I mean, I see people, like the Battletech players in the universe, they spend an enormous amount of energy trying to, seriously, Hobby, too much blue. They spend an enormous amount of energy trying to come up with hex-based terrain. It's not worth it to me. I'd just rather play on traditional mats and things like that. All right, so no hexes for me other than on my on the bottom of my models. All right. Hopefully I haven't beat that brush up too much. That's silver. It needs some white. That's buff. Where's the white? Here we go. Pure white from Reaper Miniatures, an MSP paint. Excellent, you. Sparks, I feel like you stayed up super late to hang out with us tonight. I really appreciate it. All right, let's get some white paint over here. I just want to. All right, so with these models, I was in a super big hurry when I did these, and so I went with these really extreme, like basically pure white edge highlights. First of all, I'm the kind of painter, I like doing a good job, but I don't like obsessing over the paint jobs. Like I watch plenty of super talented painters. Oh, it's hot down there, Sparks. Yeah, you're right. It's wow, that's ugly. Wow. James Wapple, Kenny Boucher, there are all kinds of super good painters out there, and they spend a fair chunk of time working on their models and getting them all looking super fantastically good. And I appreciate what they do. man, I just don't want to be the kind of guy who sits here and, spends like 30 hours trying to blend something across here with a brush. I'm like, I'm not into that. I'm here to have fun. So I said all that to say, I think the right approach to this sort of thing is to use more of like a colored highlight, something gray here, something kind of yellowy brown here that fades up. And when you get like a highlight point, like right here, you would normally come in and use your brighter colors so that there's a little color transition in your edge highlighting from here to here and from here to here. So you get this sort of ting. So in my mind, when I painted this model, I said, okay, the light's coming from here, all right? And mostly I did that because of this cockpit. I wanted to be able to draw the highlights like in this cockpit right here and here up to this point. And so I wanted high highlights everywhere around that corner. And that's the same basic principle you would use with the colored highlights. But I can't honestly be bothered to do that, especially when I'm in a hurry to try and paint up, 14 models in 12 days or 14 days, whatever it was. I painted a lot of models, super fast for me. And so I just did the plain white highlights, and then I came back in with probably some Nuln Oil on this black side just to wash them down a little bit. And then over here, I'm pretty certain I used another GW product, which is not right here in front of me. They have a very strong orangey yellow wash. It's in there with the Nuln things, but I can't think of its name right now, that I use to kind of tone these down a little bit, and it helps with these whites just a little bit. Just kind of stains them a little bit and gives the impression that the highlight is the same color as the metal that it's meant to be part of. Just a little trick to make things go fast. Yeah, Sparks, I agree. And hats off to those people. I mean, I'm not certainly absolutely 1,000% no disrespect to people that do spend that kind of enormous amount of time painting. They're you can see it in the results they get. I mean, like I said, people like Wapple and I can just name off a lot of people, but there are very talented painters out there, and my hat is off to them. I've learned a ton of things from them. I take the techniques that work for me, and especially anything that can help me go a little bit faster, a little bit quicker. That's what I'm here to do. Okay, so let's try and do some painting. By the way, it's my intention to try and do this for an hour or so tonight. So probably try and go to about 9:15 or so, since I got a late start. And I don't know. I mean, if it becomes easier, then maybe in the future, if people care, I will paint longer. Because I need to paint lots of models. All right, so I got a little bit of white paint on here, kind of get it a little thin, but not too thin. Check it on the edge of my my brush, or check the brush on the edge of my thumb. Get it down, and then I'm just going to come in here, and from the very edge, I'm just going to try and just only touch it with the flat of the brush. Just so I'm only just painting this highlight. So there, I've got a little tiny bit of a highlight there. And again, with these guys, or with this guy, I'm imagining the light source is coming from here, and so now I'm trying to paint Hobby Habit that's chatty. I love it. And so now I'm just going to come in and do another one right here. And then right here. And then I'm just going to follow the light. Everywhere there's a highlight in the paint job, I'm going to add a little, that's a little too much. And there's a trick you can do. I mean, paint is not immediately permanent. So acrylic paint is designed to be fast drying. It's designed to be fast drying, and so you don't have a lot of time to work with it like you would with oil paints, but you can quickly pick it back up right there. So my stroke right there was a little too wide, and so what I was able to do is I just wet my finger real quick and I touched the paint, and it picked almost all of it back up off with my finger. You can just wipe the paint off as long as you're quick with it. So then I come back in here with a little more caution. Still probably a little bit too wide, but I'll let it go. I'll allow it, as my friend Tim Bunn would say. So then again, just everywhere the windows have a highlight, I'm going to try and give a little bit of a highlight to the metal plates around them. Again, just wipe that off. Try and make sure I get a little tinier bit of paint. Could be I've gotten this paint just a little bit too wet for edge highlighting. I actually want just a little bit of thicker paint when you edge highlight, at least I do. I mean, if you had told me a year ago I would ever even think about streaming on Twitch, I would have told you you were insane. The only reason I'm doing this is because John said please, I think. No, actually, the real reason I'm doing it is, you know, we just need more Cav content, right? So for about a year, Ross Hines and I did a podcast called the Big Stompy Podcast. Where we basically talked about Cav. I mean, we would occasionally talk about other games here and there, things we were working on, but it was mostly about Cav. And Ross is a super, he's beyond a good painter. I mean, Ross is a professional painter. He teaches people Ross is literally an art teacher. So he's incredible, and he's ridiculously good at the game. And so really the Big Stompy Podcast was him talking and me like uploading and editing the videos for the most part, or the audio. But I mean, the idea is we just need more Cav content. You know, we need something for people to, you know, reach out and find when they want to do something with Cav. And so I thought, well, you know, I can, you know, people can hang out with me, I guess. There's been plenty of times I was like, man, I wish while I'm painting these Cavs I had somebody to talk to about Cav. Yeah, I'm a streamer t-shirt. Yeah. Poor Adon, what happened to my nice peaceful galaxy? Well, turns out the rock exists. And they don't know what the word peaceful means. Translates into food, I think, in their language. Yep, that's the other problem too, you know? They think they got it all. I think, you know, most people, most races probably would have the same thought process as like, you know, this galaxy is ours. So I got to make sure I get the top edges there. I almost accidentally highlighted the bottom edge of that one while I was getting this line around his chest. I almost accidentally highlighted the bottom side of that. That would have been foolish for me. Yeah, I saw you, Hobby Habit, talking about that over in the Discord channel. You haven't shared your YouTube channel that I know of. If you did, I missed it. I'd be happy to check that out once you get it up. Sparks, back to the Adon thing. I'm interested. I'm so interested to see the fiction of this universe expand. I think it's very interesting. I think there's just a ton of room. John keeps mentioning he's going to, at some point in time, hopefully encourage people to, gather together, maybe some little short stories. I don't enjoy writing, but I promise you, when he does that, I will make the effort to put out at least a brief story about my rock AI. Pardon me, he's over here. He wants to make an appearance. Come here, little rock AI. Rather giant rock AI. Again, this is this is just a random giant mecha I bought a bunch of years ago that I finally got around to painting, and we had a conversation about AIs once, and I got to thinking, well, what would the rock AI be like? And I thought, well, probably dangerous and out of control, and so I made up a scenario for it, which I haven't had a chance to play test yet, but hopefully I will soon, and this is what I'm going to use to represent the rock AI. For the AI. On the table down here, you mean? Let's see if I can make some room for him. Scoot this extra stuff out of the way. Let him get some of the limelight. There we go. A little bit more of this up here. Yeah. So what are you guys working on? I mean, Hobby Habit, you've showed us some assembly steps, but what's the first mech that's getting paint? Tell us. The world wants to know. Who's caught your eye the most? Ritter are your faves, and you like Adon a bunch. All right, so can you name an individual cav? I mean, I'm literally, which two are your first mechs or calves that you're going to work on? Gotta get this under. I gotta remember to get underneath the camera, I guess. Ah, too much, too wide, too wet. Yeah, I'm totally excited to see what you're doing, Sparks. Been very happy with your work in Cav. Very, very happy. I think just a little bit more right there, I think. The Razor. Unfortunately, I don't have them all memorized. That's what my podcast partner Ross was for. The Razor. I don't know. Somebody look that up for us and tell us what that's from. Is that what's it look like? What's it got? Ooh, Lion 2. I love those tanks. I'll be honest with you. I could probably be seduced by a sci-fi tank game. I love I love mechs. Don't get me wrong, but gosh, tanks are the bomb diggity. But it's got to be sci-fi. Well, it doesn't have to be sci-fi. I like historical tanks too. Recon Attack Cav. Yeah, sweet. So what is it you like about it, Hobby Habit? I mean, why that one? Is it the stats? Is it the look? This guy's actually kind of hard to get into and do some of this highlighting. This one little edge right here, I want to put a line down it, and it's super hard to get to. All about the looks on his little tiny Apache helicopter type with missile boxes on top, sleek chicken. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, I get it. I get it. I have a little small Malvernus force I painted up for kind of doing some demos with. We have back before the COVID thing went insane, we had a nice little group going on here in Tulsa. Not quite as big as the one down in Texas with Ross, but pretty good size. And I painted up a little purple force with some Galaxy bib bobs on it. Um, just something like 2,500 points, a couple of butchers, a white. I can't think of all their names. I'm terrible at this. But yeah, I like the Malvernus guys a lot. I worked on that Pillager a little bit while I was up at Virtual CavCon on stream just a little bit. I'm kind of with John though. I think the next thing I'm going to work on after I finish up this guy who's almost done to me. I haven't sealed him yet, but he's pretty close to. Then I really just need to do a little metal here, probably at the outset, and I don't know, maybe something. He's going to get some rock symbols. Hey, John, if you're listening, I really need some oversized rock decals. Do you know anybody who could help me at that? Oh yeah, pillagers are fantastic. Giant beasts. Haven't had a chance to play one yet. I said that about terrain, but actually, I think there's some other models that I'm going to paint up for then, just some one-offs. See, there, that's too much paint. So just reach in there with my finger and kind of just wipe it off. Got to be a little gentle. I haven't sealed the underlying paint job. And the last thing I want to do is have to try and repair that airbrush work after the fact. But you got to do what you got to do. And if it gets too bad, you just make it look like battle damage. I really need to paint up a force that's, basically just kind of heavily beat up and weathered and seen better days. I don't have a lot of experience with that. So, something I need to do to stretch my legs a little bit. Yeah, me too. I meant to grab one before I came up here, and Then it took me like an hour or more to get the stream set up, so yeah, it was took me quite a while. With John and Chris's help, though, we did get it figured out. All right, let's see if we can move over into this black area. Kind of dusty gray looking. Hmm. Huh. That's interesting. I never noticed that before. So there's a little difference between this shoulder gun and these arm-mounted guns. I don't know if you can make this out. Probably not. But there's this little. Pull the lights back down a little bit more. Brighten this up just a smidgen. Use the old inverse square law to make things brighter. This little tube right here is on this gun, and it's on this gun, but it's not on this gun. Of course, they have different tops too, so it's not a thing. I just never realized that those kind of little differences were there. I mean, obviously, there's a whole ton of differences right here where the thing connects versus up here. Nice little detail. All right. Like I said earlier, this is probably way too stark a highlight. I mean, it's like, in real world terms, this is like the brightest reflection you would get off of like a chrome bumper or something that would be turned this bright white where there's no detail in it anymore. But we'll change that a little bit when we wash them down. And like I said, these are very simple highlights. We're just suggesting the implication that this is something shiny. And, honestly, just kind of creating a little separation. If you want to see, well, as I said at the beginning of the stream, there are certainly huge, like almost everybody's a better painter than me. I'm just here to have a little fun, knock out some miniatures. So like on these little round bits, instead of making a linear highlight, I kind of make a highlight that follows the curve of the, here we go, I'll do one here. Follows the curve of the tube, just by kind of drawing a bunch of little vertical lines across it. And then just having them kind of tail off as it gets down to the end of the tube, whereas the tube narrows. a little bit bigger and stronger. Anyway, not sure I'll keep that, but we'll see. Oh, stay on camera. So some of the things I intend to do in the future, assuming that this streaming thing continues, is you know, work on models in general, especially whatever my current project is. Um, I'm going to I intend to do a little bit of terrain at some point. I've got some of those buildings that John um, sold. I'm probably not gonna assemble those on stream the way John does. You can watch the terrain stream for that, but I might tackle painting them, drag out the airbrush and see what I can do in terms of leveraging it to paint the big areas on the building, and just see what sort of techniques we can come up with there. I'm definitely going to build an anti-tank gun or two. Probably build up a whole squad of them so I can make them up in the game, and I'm not quite sure I'll write them up. Probably just make it like a mortar of some kind. I don't know. There's bound to be a way to do it. Maybe I can make it like a teeny tiny little vehicle of some kind, and let's make its movement like really hampered or something. Yeah, we'll see. I'll play around with the construction program and see what I can come up with. It's about the right. Getting there, headed in the right direction. A lot of times the edge highlighting is really even more so just to show the changes in the miniature, like like the changes in armor plates, or show that there's a separation between two pieces more so than even. I mean, I sometimes people highlight, edge highlight things that aren't even really shiny, and that works fine. It works great. Some of the tricks are, I mean, we're painting such tiny little things. You have to do unrealistic things to make what you're doing, really visible at any kind of level, right? So, I mean, sort of things that don't make sense from a physics perspective, you do just so that people can even see what you were trying to accomplish. John, you need to hire a professional. Upside down minis. So John teased us a little bit earlier in the week answering someone's question on Facebook about that broadsword, that big dropship model. Um, I am excited to see it, to physically have it in my hands, to get a chance to assemble it and paint it. So if by any chance one of those actually physically becomes available, we get to the point where we can, when we get to the point where we can actually paint that thing, that will definitely jump to the front of whatever queue. If I'm still doing this, I will clean, assemble, and paint that sucker from start to finish on stream. Hint, hint. Yeah, I'm a super critical person, especially of myself. Actually, only of myself. Outside of me, I'm a very understanding person, just the way I am. Just the way I am. That's too broad a stroke. These jerry cans that are on this gun are hard to highlight. They're just, they're not, their edges are just a little bit rounded. Makes it very hard to. Very hard to get a good highlight on them. But, you know, perseverance is the thing. Come down and do this one while we're at it. It's just a good looking model. Chris knocked it out of the park with this thing. I'll be honest, when he first started, I looked at it and I was like, man, I'm not sure. It's got so much going on. There's these 3 guns. They're very chunky, and at the end of the day, I should just shut up and watch the pro be a pro. Turns out. So I don't know if Chris is out there, but I hope he is, because I will say it out loud. He's absolutely one of my favorite 3D sculptors. There's a lot of Reaper miniatures that I own that were sculpted by him. Things I didn't even know were sculpted by him. I'm starting to pay more and more attention to who the sculptors are. He's a good sculptor. We're very lucky to have him making calves, in my opinion. Guess I should get over here. John, if you're listening, did we get confirmation from Ross for Wednesday? Is that a thing? Cool. I hope to be on there, or I hope for Ross to be on there. I'm anybody who might happen to listen to the Wednesday stream. I'm not going to be on Wednesday. Wednesday is my birthday. I will be very old. And my daughters, who are all adults, have said they want to do something very nostalgic with me for my birthday. And so we are going to pull up the Elder Scrolls Morrowind, and we are going to replay, we're going to start to replay that campaign. That's something I did when they were very little, when it first came out, and they would come and sit down and watch me play, and we would role play and have a good time, and I'd have my character do crazy, silly dad things like eat bugs, and they just have a lot of really fond memories of that. And so we're over the holidays this year, we're gonna relive that. We're gonna go back in and play Morrowind through and through, try and get to the end of it. We're all gonna sit around and like just have a good old happy time with that. And so they wanted to start Wednesday evening on my birthday, so that's what I'm doing Wednesday night, hanging out with the kiddos and playing an ancient video game. Ooh, Sparks, you're on it. Sweet. If you get a chance, can you throw that card out somewhere, like on Discord or Facebook, where we can all see it? Yeah, that sounds really cool. What's the range though? I'm afraid the range on those anti-infantry weapons are tiny. Or excuse me, not anti-infantry. The infantry weapons are really short ranged, I'm afraid. John, fix it. We need anti-tank guns. Yeah, I'm going to have to clean up some of these. But that's okay. It's black. It's easy to fix. Lol. One of my favorite personal traits, one of the things I like the most about me, is I am a giant kid at heart. Oh my God, I'm just a little 8-year-old boy who grew up and got a job and forgot to stop being 8 years old. And I love playing with toys. I love hanging out with my friends. I'll lay on the floor and wrestle with my dog for an hour. It's just, life is too short to not have fun. So that's my goal, is to have fun. Always assume the best and have fun. I think it's getting close to an hour. It's about 9:13 here in the standard, the times. I don't know what it is where you fellows are. On planet Sparks Murphy, I'm sure the numbers are bigger and hotter and stranger and poisonier and things like that. All right. Well, like I said, here's a King Cobra in the same paint scheme. I think they're basically, they're in the same category. I think they're close enough. I need to work on this black a little bit. The black I painted this guy with was a shinier black. I didn't think to bring my black with me when I went up to John's to paint this, and so it's got a different sheen to it. But I think I can fix that with the Nuln Oil I've got is the shiny version, and so I think when I apply it, if I'm careful, I can get some of this sheen back on it. And of course, it'll pick up a little bit of overall sheen when I matte coated. This is actually matter than the matte that I use. Anyway, I think I'm headed in the right direction. Probably got about another I don't know, hour or so worth of edge highlighting, maybe maybe a little bit more, and then I need to give him some decals and build him a base, and that guy will probably be done by next week. If not, I might polish him off next week. We'll see. Um, got my rock AI to work on a little bit more. Temperature's gone, so I started again from the bottom. Well, Sparks, you, you. The people from your country are amazing, and everything that you deal with is stupendous. My hat's off to you. Hold on a second. I'm gonna step away from the mic just for a moment. See if I can get this dumb thing to open. So this is a model that I'm going to be painting sometime in the near future. I believe this model is called the Cossack, and I believe it is an unreleased piece that John sent home with me to paint. It's a beautiful looking grav tank. I cannot wait to own about 60 of these. And this is after I finish up my Kodiak. If nothing else comes down the pipe, I am probably going to paint this guy. I need to get him painted up for John. Unfortunately, when I received him, he had the turret glued in. I normally would probably paint him a little separately, but it's going to be interesting. I think I've got the right one. Yeah, definitely. Anyway, this is my new favorite model. This is the best model in the universe. I'm excited to heck to paint this guy. Isn't he cute? Looks like the Rock AI could have a couple of those for breakfast. All right, folks. Well, Sparks and the hobby. Yeah, Hobby Habit. That tank is freaking awesome. You should check the stats out. It's really fun. I believe it's got I believe it's an autocannon tank. Yeah, seriously. I thought it might have been yours. I wasn't sure, but so I'm familiar with his work, and when I looked at it, I was like, that's got his look to it, but I can't keep all that stuff memorized, so I didn't want to attribute it to him and be wrong and have somebody else be mad at me. But now that I know it belongs to Sparks, I'm like, you can keep up the good work. Crap. God bless it. My lights, my camera do not like the white primer. How can I don't know how to make that work better. Get some filters. There you go. That seems to work a smidgen better. Block out some of the light. Yeah, that is one spiffy looking tank. A half a dozen or a dozen of those coming across the table at you, painted up nicely. Those are going to be fun. All right. So, it's my plan to be back on next Monday. Typically try and do an hour from 8 to 9, maybe a little bit longer if it goes well. Glad you guys could join us. Yeah, seriously. You need a full squad of them. In fact, when John showed me this, there in the rule book, in the Almirathal section, I believe, there's a description of a unit, the 9th Tank Guard, I think, Tanks Guard, which is an all tank unit. They don't have any cabs, and so I came home and wrote up an entire company of them in the Force Manager thing. It's gigantic. I need like, I don't know, 120 tanks, but it's my intention to do the whole thing at some point. I just got to decide what the paint scheme is, and of course, unfortunately, a lot of the stuff isn't released yet. So, yeah, seriously, we don't need no bipeds. Those things, they just fall over. You run into them, they fall over, no problem. But anyway, pardon me. Yeah, I should be back next Monday. I encourage you to come and hang out with me. Hang out in the Discord, chat, say something. I think Cav is really a fantastic game. It's a lot of fun. The community is as nice could be. There's nothing I don't like about Cav. The only thing it needs is more content. we need people, you guys, the few of you that are listening, to just, chat it up. Send us pictures. I mean, even if you don't paint or hobby anything on a given day, just, post some, an idea you have, or, like this anti-tank gun thing. It just popped into my head that we needed those. And so I was like, how can I go about making them? We just need conversation. We need throughput. We need people. We need eyes. We need players. We need to get rid of COVID so we can physically play. Anyway, I appreciate you coming by. Super happy to have you around. Like I said, it's not really a painting channel. It's more of a hangout with James and watch while he tries to paint. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it. Have a good evening. Live long and prosper.